What's the update on the ground there going into these peace talks?
Well, on the ground in western Ukraine, it's still relatively calm. No major attacks on the western part of the country overnight, though the town of Sani was hit by rockets for the first time. That's a town in the north of Ukraine on the main highway from Kiev to Warsaw. I actually passed through it earlier in the day yesterday on my way to the nuclear power plant at Rivne, also in the north of Ukraine. I mean, it's called Rivne. It's at a town called Varash. And there, they're pretty worried about the possibility that Russia may try to take that nuclear power plant as well, having already taken the one at Zaporizhia in the southeast of Ukraine. So very strong defences that Ukraine says that it's put in place to protect that nuclear power plant, and generally an atmosphere of tension. But more, of course, people in western Ukraine have their eyes fixed on the east and the south and on Kiev. Many of people have come from those parts of Ukraine which they had to flee and are looking in horror at the way that civilians are being targeted in so many different parts of the country.
Well, Gulliver, what about these peace talks? Are the Ukrainian people at all hopeful that there could be a deal?
Well, not a single person that I've spoken to has brought up these peace talks when talking to me spontaneously. And when you ask them about them, they mostly say that they really don't have very much hope and that they don't have any trust in Vladimir Putin, understandably, given the number of times that he has told barefaced lies, not just to the Ukrainians, but to the international community. So I think there's a feeling that if there is any deal, Ukrainians would be very skeptical about whether or not the Russians would keep it. Just on this street where I'm standing now, a little earlier, I asked a man who was passing by what he thought about the peace talks, and his response was very brief. He said, "You can't talk to these people, we just have to crush them." And he made the sign of crushing them with his foot, stamping it into the ground. I think it's very important to remember the level of anger, shock, and even hatred that there is in Ukraine at the moment about what's happening. And, any peace deal, any compromise that there is probably going to be quite a hard sell for at least.
Looks like we lost our signal there, but Gulliver Cragg reporting for us from the Ukrainian city of Lviv.